All right, y'all, let's talk about Jimmy Butler again. So far, through his short stint with the Golden State Warriors, he has been pretty impressive. Golden State has posted a winning record going into the All-Star break since trading away for him. I'm not going to go off the rails just yet and say that this was the move that completely turned their season around. It's way too early to tell. And I'm not looking at their production with Jimmy Butler so far and saying, yep, they're a contender now. I'm not there just yet. I could end up being there at some point in the season, but regardless, I do think he has been pretty impressive. One thing that I love about Jimmy Butler, and it's not just here in Golden State, but one thing I love about him is when you move him from team to team, whether you're trading him or whether he ends up on another team in free agency, he has this really unique ability to mesh well immediately on the court with whatever that supporting cast is. Like, I know there's a lot of drama tied up with Jimmy Butler, and there are a ton of situations where maybe he's not seeing eye to eye with other players or maybe coaching staffs or maybe front offices, but Butler has this really unique ability of being able to go to a new team and mesh well with them on the court pretty immediately, right? Like, let's think about that time where he was moved away from Minnesota and moved over to Philly. Think about how seamless he kind of fit into that role in Philly and really led them to their deepest playoff run in the entire Joel Embiid era. And they were literally bounces away from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals that year. Or let's think about when he got moved over to Miami from Philly, right? Like, that was another situation where immediately after one short stint with the team, he's moved to a new environment. And immediately the Heat were successful. They made the NBA Finals in Butler's first season with that team. So again, Butler has this really good ability to get on a new team and perform pretty immediately and fit well within that offense pretty immediately. And we're seeing it to a certain extent here with Golden State. I love the way they've utilized him in the offense. Now, it's not like they're putting the ball in his hands and asking him to shot create at the super high level. And it's not like I'm watching him so far and it's like he's completely taking the pressure off of Stephen Curry. He's doing it to a certain extent, but it's not like feed Jimmy the ball and let him go get 30 just yet, right? It's not at that point and at that level just yet. I feel like we're going to see it as the season progresses, especially if Golden State is able to get into the postseason or like some level of the play-in tournament, but it hasn't been there just yet. A lot of his offense has been based around his off-ball movement, the cutting, the screen setting, and the slipping to the rim. A lot of the stuff that we know as like a staple of that Golden State Warriors offense, like that split action stuff where they'll maybe throw the ball to the post and let him and some other guy get involved on the perimeter and some like cross screening actions and he'll cut to the rim. All of that stuff, he's come right in and he's done it, right? His off the ball play has been amazing. They're doing an amazing job at finding him like on these cuts to the rim, whether it's Draymond Green or Stephen Curry. He's fit really well here so far, and it looks like he's been the perfect fit for this offense and for this Warriors scheme they've been running for like the last few seasons. I know that the Golden State Warriors offense has changed from time to time, but this is still a team that cuts at a very high volume and all those sorts of things. There's a lot of off-ball movement happening, and he's kind of fit well within that so far. Again, it's not like he's come in and he's been like this, give me the ball and let me go get 30 or 40 just yet. He's not at that level just yet here with this team, but still he's been very productive, kind of playing their style with the off-ball movement and the cuts to the rim and all of these sorts of things. I think you have to love it so far here if you are a Warriors fan. He's come in so far and he's played a Warriors brand of basketball at a very high level. I think one dynamic that he also completely changes for this team that is going to be so important for their offense moving forward is because of his ability to shot create and make things happen off the dribble on his own. He's going to get this team to the free throw line a lot more. That was something they struggled with before getting him. Jimmy Butler can get to the line, and that completely changes their offense. And their lack of ability to get to the free throw line speaks to that issue of them just really not having that reliable second option scorer next to Stephen Curry, right? So it's not just about having another 20-point per game guy next to Curry, but one of the ways you keep a defense honest is by drawing fouls. And they just didn't have somebody who was great at drawing fouls prior to outside of Stephen Curry. And that was one of the biggest reasons why they weren't getting to the line. If you are not getting to the line, you are cutting out a massive chunk of your offensive attack. And that is something that Jimmy Butler can bring to this team. Jimmy Butler is a guy who can get fouled, who can attack. He can play physical down low and draw fouls in that way. We saw a few times so far here where maybe he gets a cut to the rim, misses a layup, and then like aggressively rebounds it on the offensive end, and maybe he'll get to the line. But just his ability to get fouled and play that physical brand of basketball as a driver, that opens up so much in that Warriors offense. Again, like having a secondary shot creator next to Curry wasn't just about having another guy who can just go get 20, but the ability that Butler has to get to the line is going to mean a ton for this team when it comes to keeping defenses honest. And I think it's going to help take their offense to a completely different level. And obviously, you're going to get more points on the board in that situation if you're getting to the line a lot more. So I've loved the fit so far. I think it's been great. They had some quality wins stuck in there as well. There's a win, I think, against the Milwaukee Bucks. They just had a win tonight against the Houston Rockets. There was a close one they had just last night down the stretch against the Mavericks. And to be fair, Dallas was without Anthony Davis. But still, right? Like these aren't just rinky-dink wins they're getting so far. These are pretty solid quality victories they put on the board since getting Jimmy Butler here. I think these have been some pretty good tests since having him on the roster. So again, I'd like to start. I'm a fan of it. I think this is going to end up being interesting moving forward and seeing just how involved he gets as a shot creator within this offense. But I've loved it. And I think this could end up being a move that helps Golden State big time. But one thing that I said in a video prior to this about Jimmy Butler is this all depends on what version of Jimmy Butler you get in the playoffs, right? If you thought this move was going to totally move the needle for Golden State, it had to be because you thought that we are still going to be able to get this version of Jimmy Butler that we got back in 2023 or 2022 or maybe 2020 where he was having these like ridiculous playoff runs. This move is only successful if you believe that we can still get that version of Jimmy Butler and that version of Jimmy Butler still exists in the first place. So we'll see what happens. Again, I love the start. Really good confidence builder and momentum builder going into the All-Star break. And we'll see how they end up coming out after the All-Star break and just how far they can climb up back into the top of the Western Conference standings and hopefully get out of play-in tournament territory, because I think this team is way too experienced and way too good to be sitting in that spot they're in right now.